can say is that the reason why it is the way it appears to be is that I wanted to introduce us being in India in this village. So in a way, the village is the overriding positive thing that happened to us, and that within our being a tourist, our trip, that there are certain things happened, and that my interest was particularly in the concern about young people. What is the situation for young people in India as far as I can see it? Obviously, I come there, I will be an observer, I sit in a car. Some young people sort of go near to the window and respond to me in some outsidish way, or excited way, or questioning way, I don't know. So there's a certain insecurity. And I don't know to what extent this film brings that out. I couldn't resist buying a pair of shoes made of a camel leather and soles from car tires. A woman of my age watched me trying them on. Then we moved back to Jaipur, and from there on to Agra and the Taj Mahal and places nearby.
I'm filming it.
Anyway, in my diary, I left a note. Thus we arrived at Fatehpur Sikri. It might be completely differently pronounced. The fortified city of the Mughal Akbar. And walked up and around without any rickshaw or guides, but we were followed and at one stage aggressively surrounded by people wanting to earn some rupees from us. First approach, where are you from? Our answer, England. Their response, oh, very nice. Then the deal's on offer. How Bob and Tracy still managed to buy what they wanted, I don't know. I stayed completely unresponsive. Bob kept being nice until this didn't work anymore. Even though, and in all this hustle, Tracy picked out a young, gentle and intelligent teenage boy and had reasonable conversations with him. I admired that. It should roll now. Anyway, Tracy, what was the situation like? What did you go through your head, and how did you approach this?
Saruk. I remember walking through the back passage of the mosque, and he approached me with a packet of postcards and asked me if I'd like to look through them. And I was very struck by how softly spoken he was, how good his English was, and how non-pushy he was in comparison to the other touts that we'd met. So I had a look through his postcard book and I liked them, so I bought them. And then he continued to walk with me as I walked around the mosque.
How did you manage to pick Saruk out of a crowd of people who were surrounding us, trying to hustle us and get us into buying any of the silly things that they had around?
I found the touts very difficult all the way around when we were doing the Golden Triangle. So often I referred to Bob to speak to them, and I would just walk away and leave Bob talking to the touts. So I think I just did that. I just walked away from you all and left you with them. And then I was just walking through the passage, and Saruk came up to me and was talking to me. And
with you walking along with Saruk, we suddenly felt completely relaxed and protected. And I felt it was a sort of magic turnaround that you did there.
It's a very strange impact that this small 11-year-old boy could have, that it meant that everyone else left us alone. And I went to speak to his uncle as well. He took me round, again, not in a pushy way at all. He took me round to meet his uncle, and I went into one of the little alcoves of the mosque and sat on the floor with his uncle and was talking to him. And he was showing me the things that he'd made, and we had what felt like a really honest conversation where I said to him, I only have 500 rupees, and he said, oh, well, you can buy this, this or this for that. And normally you enter into this big haggling debate that seems to go on forever, even though both of you know you're going to end up paying the same amount. And so his uncle was very similar to Saruk as well, where it just felt very honest and very different to any of the other touts that we'd spoken to.
Do you think that he has a future, this boy? Or what kind of future do you think he portrayed to you?
I hope so. I feel like we met lots of children that age, the 11, 12-year-olds, who had taught themselves English, had worked out the best way to speak to the tourists, and who were obviously incredibly intelligent, and they were entrepreneurs with what they were selling, and I hope that that intelligence is going to see them through and that they will have a good future, but I think that possibly not, because of his family situation, and I don't think there's an awful lot of social mobility in India. I think he's probably stuck.
Because it is strange that he was there, isn't it? Why was he there? Was he there because it was a holiday, or was it there because it was money, or both? Or
So he was there because he should have been at school, but it was a festival day or a holiday from school, so he was asked by his family to come to the mosque to come and help them to make some money.
I stopped now. Keep going, keep going. Well, then we had a similar situation, not equal situation, in Varanasi, where we were sort of strolling along the Ganges, and again you appeared with a boy of 13, 14 years old. How did he actually approach you, or did you ask him questions? I presume it was more likely the other way around.
With Roit, I approached Roit. We were lost. We were trying to find a way to get into the lanes so that we could find a bakery to have lunch, and we couldn't find the entrance anywhere. And he was just standing on the steps. So I asked him if he knew where the bakery was, and he said yes, and he offered to take us there. I was going to just ask him for directions, but he offered to take us all the way there. And he was quite different to Saruk. He was far more confident, and he started chatting away to me and telling me about his education and how he was one of the highest castes in India, and that he didn't need money. And he was very adamant that he didn't need our money for taking us to this bakery. He kept saying, I don't need your money, I don't need the money, I'm not doing this as a guide, I'm doing it because it's good for my soul to help people out. And he seemed to be very stuck on this ideology of helping people and making sure that the Western tourists knew that not everyone in India was always doing things for money.
And she found out that the second person came from a very different background. And why the hell he was there, he never revealed it enough to us. And he was waiting for something that we didn't know what it was. Yeah. And then he disappeared. And that is what was an overriding experience to us, that there were lots of people around all the time. They were sort of putting up with their fate, I would say, or with their caste, or with their setting, or whatever, their upbringing. Trying to move on, trying to move out, to exploit you in a way, didn't perhaps get anywhere, left it open and then moved on. And that was it. So within that situation where you feel very uncertain as somebody who wants to assess where you are, what your role is as an outsider, as a middle class, white, whatever, coming from another country, Britain in this case, you are happy, or we were very happy, I was very happy to find a place that actually had an understanding of help, which was this rug trade organization. This guy had actually set up a place which had to do with learning and training and support of many, many, many people in various villages who operate at the place where they traditionally were. Right. And for, I think, 45,000 people actually altogether now, and he wanted to increase. And that was such a positive approach, and also to avoid all middlemen. So you have this direct contact, which we then managed to experience ourselves. And met the founder, Naoud Sio, who calls himself a director of the hard rock of life. You can read this in the entrance of a backstreet building, turning out to be a training and making center, a kind of university of the third age for young-minded people. It calls itself University of Unlearning and represents both a uni and a factory. We stood between trainees, administrators, designers and carpet makers who are all part of this social enterprise. Eventually, huge carpets were rolled out in front of us, at least 30 of them. But we all fall in love with one in particular. We were told that two kings have to meet each other, the makers and the customer. I took this in and then dared to ask if we could meet the maker of the one carpet we all liked so much. The result? A visit to one of the many villages where rugs are produced. In total across India they employed 45,000 workers and oversee 700 looms. We went by taxi on a 3-hour journey to meet the weavers of our choice and his wife in the village. Not only that, we decided it was a must to buy this carpet. Only a month later this piece arrived in England. We emailed a photo of our family with this masterpiece in front of them to the company, and they delivered it to the master himself. Within days we received an answer photo with him holding our picture sitting next to his loom. This formed the most enjoyable contact between us and India, the most enjoyable contact I can ever imagine. Gandhi's sequence of photos showing him growing up I came across in the Nehru and Gandhi Memorial Museum in Delhi. He was a teenager once, but developed his independent thoughts with foresight, hard work and discipline. I feel that this mindful simplicity is still a guide and force to all of us today.